And good morning.
Good morning, world. How are you?
And world. Good morning, world. I like that. Hello.
That's what I do, because when we're here, that's where we are.
I'm Frank Spillers.
I'm Kim Spillers. We're Rural Community Solutions out of Atlantic, Iowa. We're so glad that you have joined us this morning. We have a super special guest, so you'll want to come back in just a minute. We're going to hear what's going on in Riverton, Wyoming with Eric Carr.
So hang in there, and you will love the interview.
Around the world were started in this way, with a vision of the future and a plan to grow with people. But today,
All right. And today we're going to be talking about how a community continues to grow with people and continues to look around at their environment of what that community can do to support the local resources that they have. So it's a growth from within strategy. It's a great growth from within, and it includes local food. So let us welcome Mr. Eric Carr.
Hey, good morning. Thank you both so much for the opportunity to visit with you this morning.
Absolutely. So we're so glad that you're here. So just to give our viewers and our people on the podcast who are listening just a tiny bit of background about you, you are a rock star. So Eric is a born and raised Wyoming guy. And he was raised in Gillette, which is the energy capital of the world. That was a new piece of information for me. He's educated all throughout Wyoming universities. Interestingly, you started in music, switched to engineering. Our oldest son started in engineering and switched to music. So that was just a funny little thing there.
You just switch sides of the
That's
brain.
right.
That's all you did.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure did. So you know how to build bridges and highways, and you know all about that kind of stuff to keep our infrastructure safe. So thank you very much. We appreciate that.
And a little bit less known fact about Eric, if you want to know the intricacies of fly fishing in the river, Eric is the go-to person.
That's right. That is it. But what you're doing right now is that you're the community development director for the City of Riverton, Wyoming. And so now you're using not only the infrastructure pieces to bring that to your work, but then you get to do a lot of other add-on things. And that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about today, is what you're doing for local foods and the things that you are involved with for developing community opportunities. So we are so excited that you're here. Thank you so much for joining us.
So Eric, just before we get started in the local food, you were in an engineering firm in Riverton, and then you jumped into city government. What made the switch?
Correct. So I was actually in the private sector for about 25 years. I was with 3 different firms, did a lot of work for the Federal Highways Administration for private contractors. So I was in all the worst places in the West: Yellowstone National Park, Teton National Park, Glacier National Park. Got to spend a lot of time in some really, really cool places. Unfortunately, I was also away from my family quite a bit. So that spurred the want and desire to get back to Wyoming and full time. So found an opportunity here with a private firm. And then the position with the city opened up, and I thought, you know what, maybe I'll throw my hat in the public sector and see how that fits. And it has been a fantastic move. I have loved every minute of it. We have a fantastic team here at the City of Riverton in Fremont County. We are right smack dab in the middle of Wyoming, the least populated state in the union. And we're always practicing social distancing. This really hasn't been super difficult for some of us. And I say that in jest. Obviously, it's been quite impactful, but we jest, and we're still trying to get through it with a bit of humor. So,
well, but you do make a really good point, though. That is one of the real advantages of rural America, is that we find that in Iowa and a number of different places, is that because our population numbers are lower, our exposure rate is lower. And even though numbers are skyrocketing because potentially of some personal choices, the physical distance and the population does make this a perhaps relatively safer place. So people who are looking from the metro areas where it is so stacked on top of each other, they are looking to move to less populated areas. And so that really is an opportunity for rural America to think about, how do we connect the dots between the people who are looking and the spaces that we do have.
Absolutely.
So,
and we're seeing that in Wyoming. Yeah, we're seeing that quite a bit. We're having an influx of those that are wanting to migrate to lesser populated areas, for sure.
Yeah, and so that could be a subject of a whole nother show, maybe in another month or two. Yes, as that, because that really is a growth from within strategy. How do you put together some sort of a platform? But for purposes of today, let's talk about this local food hub that you have.
Sure.
Going on. Go for it. Tell us all about that, because it's a fascinating story.
So this is a fantastic movement that really started here about 3 to 4 years ago. There was a group of local farmers and beef producers, meat producers, that really wanted to get their product out and focus on the grass-fed, non-steroidal use and production of not only our vegetables, but our beef and swine and poultry. And then, so that morphed into a couple different farmers markets, which then led to the local food hub. And there is a website that you can visit, the local food, the Riverton Local Food Hub.com. And that basically started a co-op, a membership co-op, for folks that wanted to get together and sell their wares that were locally produced. We all know the benefits of locally produced foods rather than, getting our food at a grocery store where we have really no idea where it comes from, how it was grown, where it was grown, what chemicals were used in that process. If you're buying local, you can literally shake the hand of the individual that grew your potato or raised that lamb that you're buying, and really get involved in that greater good process of how are we selecting what we're ingesting, and how important that is, not our individual health, but our community health. So from that local food hub, they began a certified kitchen, which was fantastic. What that meant was individuals that were producing jams and jellies and cakes and any food item, then they could then distribute nationally or locally to those that were interested in obtaining those items. And it really, really worked out well. They conjoined it with a cafe that was located in our airport that the city owns. We gave them a great deal on a lease because we couldn't find anybody that wanted to move into the space. And it ended up doing very well up until the pandemic. Because the model was able to self-sustain because they were operating as a cafe, and that provided a bit of income to support, the overhead, the electrical bill, the gas bill for the stove. And people were able to reserve, 4 to 5, 6 hour slots in the certified kitchen to produce their wares until the pandemic hit. And that really, really put a cramp on that. And they weren't able to sustain that. However, they do have another location that they're looking at, which is an old Domino's store that does have a full health certified or health department certified kitchen. And we're hoping that will again be able to take off once the pandemic is over.
So did that certified kitchen then help other businesses start up? And then what's happened to the other businesses that were using the kitchen that might have been, I don't want to say left in the lurch, but left in the lurch?
So a lot of these folks were still operating from either a communal kitchen type situation or out of their own kitchen. They went through the process, they got certified. The benefit to having the one certified kitchen is they didn't need to keep up with all of those regulatory certifications themselves. It was a co-op that could do that work, and there were employees that could do the day-to-day cleaning that a home operation would not normally be available to them. Yeah.
Right.
So it was a huge benefit for them. By and large, I don't know of anybody that necessarily went out of business because of it. A lot of this stuff or the items that were being produced were, kind of a side gig that they were supplementing income with. But a lot of people liked the opportunity to buy, milk, eggs. They had a certified egg station where they could run all of their eggs through the machine black box, if you will. I don't know anything about poultry, but they were able to produce eggs, and people could buy locally sourced eggs, not only chicken eggs but goose eggs, which are fantastic as well. So that went away for a little bit, but I am very hopeful that it's going to come back.
So tell us just a little bit about Riverton, the size of Riverton and the size of your county, how far you were away or are away from another commercialized kitchen, say in Laramie. Would that be your closest one?
Boy, I would have to say probably Casper, which is about 120 miles away, so 2 hours. And there is literally nothing between Riverton. Well, save Shoshone. I have to include Shoshone there.
Right. Yes, you do.
Town of about 300 people. But obviously, Wyoming being the least populated state, it's at least 100 miles to the nearest next population center. Here in Riverton, we're about 11,000 people. Lander, which is 25 miles to the west of us, is about 7,000 people. Fremont County is larger than most states on the eastern seaboard, the county alone. And we have 4 population centers, Lander, Riverton, DuBois, and Shoshone. Pavilions in there too, but again, maybe 50 people in Pavilion. So 40,000 people countywide. The distance travel is more impactful to our beef producers.
Sure.
And we have outstanding news on that front. We are now going to be able to get USDA certified beef cuts because of a brand new facility that is being constructed as we speak. They are in the final design stages, getting their plans ready. They've obtained the building, and they will be ready to start producing or processing beef in probably 6 to 8 months, which is fantastic.
So what, keep going. Describe that a little bit more. What do you mean they're going to be able to produce beef? If we're talking to, somebody who lives in New York City or, Atlanta, Georgia or something, what does that mean they're going to be able to produce beef?
That is a great question. So a little bit of background. Fremont County literally grows the best hay or alfalfa in the world. It's been certified. In fact, about 3 or 4 years ago, Fremont County hay won the worldwide competition for alfalfa. And if you're producing the best feed for cattle, wouldn't it make sense that we're producing the best beef in the world as well?
And who would even guess there's a competition for alfalfa?
I had no idea. No idea.
Oh, cool.
That's on like ESPN 300. I mean, it's way down the list. But
it's like local food for your local food.
Absolutely.
It's a direct line. And why this is just so cool, these 3 weeks that we introduced is that Frank and I are talking about healthy people make healthy communities. So that's where healthy foods make healthy people that make healthy communities. And we're going to talk about that on a whole bunch of levels for the next 3 weeks.
Absolutely.
That is just so awesome that your cattle are healthy.
Then we're going to start singing the circle of life here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So little known fact, we have a hay cube producer here in Fremont County that literally ships worldwide. They ship hay to Australia, but most importantly, they ship a lot of their hay to horse operations in New York and Kentucky. That is incredible. Yeah.
No kidding.
We are growing very good alfalfa here.
I think we saw that on our way out when we came in, when we first met you. We were in Riverton for a early care and education conference, and doing some workshops for your early care and education folks in Wyoming. And that's where we met you. And I think, I mean, you have like circle irrigation on them, and they're huge, huge acreages of nothing but alfalfa as far as the eye can see.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Yeah. So on that note, we are producing some of the best beef in the world as well. The problem is that in order to ship across state lines, the processed beef, that beef needs to be inspected by a USDA inspector. One of the nearest for many, many years, one of the nearest USDA inspected facility was in Greeley, Colorado. That's a 4-hour trip one way. So now for that producer to sell his product across state lines, they have to transport that beef to Greeley, Colorado, or another USDA inspected facility, bring it back, and then they're able to ship those cuts of meat to where they need to get to be consumed. Having a facility here in Riverton will be incredibly impactful to those individuals and those producers, because they're going to be able to take that overhead out of that equation, reduce the cost of the beef, yet increase the quality because it's being produced and slaughtered and processed right here in Riverton locally.
So now go into the tandem piece of this with Central Wyoming College.
Yeah.
So tell us about that and how the education system now is blending with your community development efforts for all of this local food production.
So when the local food hub leadership really started to get going, and they made impacts, and the community was able to really see the involvement that they were having, we have a community college here, Central Wyoming College, and they jumped on board fully with the local food movement, and they have now begun. So another little known fact, Fremont County is the largest horse ownership county per capita in the United States. So Central Wyoming College also jumped on board with that fact, and they are constructing a state-of-the-art, it will be called the Rocky Mountain Regional Equine Facility. As part of that facility for horse training, horse ownership, basically husbandry of those animals, they are also including a meat sciences program. And as part of that program, what they have, they've also purchased a mobile slaughter unit and a mobile meat processing unit. And what that means is they are going to start a butcher program and a meat sciences program to increase that, because those individuals in our community are disappearing at a very rapid rate that actually know how to process and produce those cuts of meats that we're used to seeing at the grocery store. So they're going to be able to teach these young people, which is another one of Wyoming's greatest exports. They're going to be able to teach these folks how to produce and sell and process the meat that the world consumes right here in Fremont County.
Now, just to be clear, for some people that are hearing, we've talked about two sources of meat, horse and beef. We're talking about cuts of beef, right? Not cuts.
Yes. So the Equine Center will be live horses. To be clear. Good point. Yes, we will not be slaughtering horses. Not a very popular option in the United States.
Right,
well, oh my gosh, that is just so fascinating. That just is amazing. So what? I'm not sure I want to know. What's
talk about the facility a little bit. That you say the design is coming to you. And you're going to approve the design pretty soon. The layout of the facility, the number of jobs created, how many beef you're going to slaughter, what's kind of the projection of that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're back on the USDA inspected facility. Those folks were able to, and this is strictly a beef production facility. Those folks were able to find an existing steel structure. It's very close to the airport. So once they produce the beef and freeze it, they will be able to ship internationally from that facility. It's literally less than a quarter mile down the road from the airport. Their estimates right now are about 20 to 30 employees right out of the gate. And that's going to be at a production level of about 25 to 30 head per week, which doesn't sound like a great deal. We're not talking about a Tyson or a Hormel type facility. We're talking about custom cut meat. There's a lot of steaks and roasts out there that are fantastic that a lot of people don't know about because our grocery stores don't sell them. So we're going to be able to custom cut and USDA inspect those at a rate of about 25 to 30 per week, which is great for the producers here and surrounding Fremont County.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, and then at their full build out, they're looking at about a maximum of 50 to 60 head per week production with a maximum of about 50 to 60 employees, which is absolutely fantastic.
It is. That's a big small business for a rural community.
And a lot of those folks are very skilled individuals. We're not talking about base rate labor. We're talking highly skilled, highly trained individuals that are processing that meat.
So the individuals coming to build the facility, are they local people or were they recruited or just attracted because of the market?
So the owners and the builders are definitely local. In fact, one of the primary gentlemen was the ag economics teacher from the high school who saw the demand, saw the entrepreneurial opportunity and said, we really, really need this. He is also a beef producer. So they saw that opportunity. He obtained investors. They went through the process. They've actually hired a firm, an engineering firm, to design the facility. That's what they specialize in, is beef production and how best to process that, get it into the hands of the consumer in a safe manner.
Well, and how interesting that you have a PE background as a professional engineer. You're going to be able to kind of say, okay, I can, you can follow the blueprints. You will be able to understand, how the production facility is actually built as well. And that's kind
Absolutely.
of,
yeah, it is truly fascinating how far that industry has come in just even the last 15 to 20 years. The facility will be, again, state of the art. They will be able to sell retail beef right out of their front door, which is fantastic, not only for the community, but for the producers that are trying to get their name out there. One of the really cool parts about it is they will have the opportunity to custom package their meats. So if an individual has a producer that they really, really like, and they like their flavor, their profiles, their raising methods, they can request a specific producer's products solely. So they can get a yearly subscription or a quarterly subscription to get X amount of beef delivered to their door, and it will be packaged stating that it was raised in Fremont County by XYZ producer, and it will have their label on it.
So a consumer then can buy a quarter of a cow, a half a beef, and just stock their freezer at any point in time. They can actually go out and pick the cow, or at least pick the producer that they want off their land. I want that. You do it for me, and then it'll be in their freezer in a short time.
That's absolutely correct.
Oh, that's really awesome.
It is fantastic. My wife and I have literally shaken hands with the individuals and his entire family that produce the beef that we eat. And we are able to obtain, instead of buying an entire beef, which could be well upwards of 600 pounds of meat that you've got to find room for, we can obtain quarterly 15, 20 pounds of ground beef, 10 pounds of ribeye steaks, 2 prime ribs, and several T-bones.
wow.
Great. And you have organized contests to where you get to quality check the beef producers in your area and award the best taste and all that. And I'm gonna be a judge one of these days. You just mark my words.
Absolutely. So that is actually one of the. I'm so glad that you brought that up. That's probably one of the proudest volunteer moments that I've had in my lifetime. My wife and I helped organize the Wyoming Beef Roundup. And what that was is we invited 10 beef producers from around the entire state of Wyoming. They brought in about 10 pounds of the same cut of meat each. And we partnered with CWC again, the Central Wyoming College. They were absolutely fantastic. They did all of the marketing. They sold the tickets. We had an outstanding attendance at the event. We brought in legislators that talked about their legislation for helping the ranchers and the producers. We brought in butchers to show people how to sharpen knives. It was an entire event culminating with a beef taste testing at the end of the evening. I cannot tell you how satisfying it was to see all of the producers come with their meat. We did a double blind taste testing, which meant there were 2 people in the world that knew where each steak came from, myself and the chef at Central Wyoming College. We served approximately 60 people. And when I came in halfway through the event, it was dead silent in that room. It was so amazing to see people taking that much interest in locally raised beef, and each person got a 1 ounce portion of each one of those steaks. And then they had a ballot card that they could fill out, and we deemed the winner of that Wyoming's best beef. The winner received a belt buckle that was made by the same folks that make the National Finals rodeo belt buckles. And it was a really, really big deal. And so we're really looking forward to next year, not having the restrictions of COVID that we had this year, and really expanding the event. We had folks from Nebraska and Kansas that want to have a very similar event in their states. And so we're in communication with them. Colorado also wants to hold one. We're also discussing a regional or a national level best beef in the nation, best beef in the Rocky Mountain region. We're really excited about the growth of this opportunity.
It's just so awesome to see how this smaller piece of the local foods movement has just snowballed and gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And that is just so cool. More people get involved, more ideas pop up. Hey, what if we did this? Hey, we need to get that person included. That it's just amazing what can happen when you just start with an idea and then run with it.
Yes, absolutely. And the best part about the Wyoming Beef Roundup was the local food hub that I discussed earlier. They were involved. There were folks that brought their wares and their garden from the farmers markets. They were there. What to pair with beef. I think next year we're probably going to have a sommelier come in to discuss what types of wine pairings we could have. The organic wine that's produced all over the United States. It's just amazing to see how much impact local food can actually have. It is the great equalizer, as Frank mentioned earlier. Everyone on the planet, regardless of any affiliation you have, you eat food. Mm-hmm. And that is one of the great connectors of our worldwide society. And we're all members of it. And if we can produce good food, we can produce good people.
Absolutely. And what Eric is talking about is that every meeting that we hold, we make sure that there is food served in that, because food raises the trust level and decreases any defense mechanisms that you might have. And it's a technique that was used by former Vice President Henry Wallace, who is from Iowa. And it's a technique that we continue to use in all of our processes, that we use food to help communities come together that can grow. Eric, we want to thank you so much. We want to bring you back. So will you come back and talk some more?
I would love the opportunity to visit with you guys again.
That would be awesome.
This is great. And maybe one of these days that we can, we'll just do this across the table from each other instead of across the states.
Yep.
That would be great. But on that same note, how awesome is it that I can sit in Wyoming and you guys can be in Iowa and we're having a wonderful discussion?
Yeah, no,
absolutely.
The technology is really a blessing, and it has really helped, I think, minimize and optimize the things that have happened this last year.
Absolutely.
Well, and showcase what can happen in rural America, to where one, you can work wherever you want to, two, communicate with whomever you want to, and just choose where you want to live, and then go there and figure out what you're going to do.
Yeah. And that's a whole nother conversation for Wyoming.
And so, Eric, if people want more information, how can they get a hold of you, and where can they go to find out maybe how they can do their own food hub?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I am here at the City of Riverton. My direct office line is 307-857-7709. And I am available for any questions that anybody might have. I may not know the answer, but I can probably certainly get them in touch with one of the organizers of the events that we discussed, either Central Wyoming College, the local food hub, or the Wyoming Beef Roundup.
That's perfect. And for those of you that didn't miss that, you can get a hold of us at Rural Community Solutions, and we can help direct you and get connected with Eric. Eric, thank you so much. We appreciate the time that you spent with us. And we could talk for hours, as we did yesterday, actually.
Yeah.
Yes. So our warmest greetings to Tara as well. And
thank you both.
We'll look forward to our next conversation.
Absolutely. Have a great afternoon, you guys.
Thank
All right,
you.
we'll be
Take
right
care,
there.
Eric.
All right. Hey, thanks for Eric Carr, who is the Community Development Director for the City of Riverton, Wyoming, and talking about his local foods movement and what grew out of the local food movements right there, because they had the environment that an entrepreneur could take their idea and grow it bigger, and it caught on just like wildfire and has served the region and is now going to be serving the world on great food.
Those are the kinds of stories that we love to share with Rural Community Solutions, where we design family-friendly, youth-centered places with all kinds of opportunities. So we hope that you join us Monday through Friday, 11:30 Central Time in the morning. And we look forward to seeing you very soon.
And so if you'd like to leave a comment on our Facebook page of how you liked Eric's show, how
sure
you
you
liked
loved
what
it.
he said. I mean, it's just amazing what he is. And maybe even if you want to know a little bit more about fly fishing, we can help connect you up
That's
with
right.
that, because he knows the rivers and the backwoods of Wyoming quite well, growing up there. So leave a comment on our Facebook page, but also leave a comment on YouTube at Rural Community Solutions TV, or our Facebook page at Rural Community Solutions, or catch this episode on our podcast at anchor.fm/Frank Spillers. Think like an entrepreneur, become a spark plug, and you can listen to this in your car. You can listen to this as you're walking, you're jogging, you're enjoying the outdoors, shoveling snow. Yeah, we're not mowing our yards in Iowa here.
No, but it's melting. The grass is showing again.
So we want to thank you for joining us, and we hope you have a great day and a very safe week.
So from Frank Spillers and myself, Kim, we wish you a fabulous day and make great choices so that you are a healthy person to make a healthy community.
See you later.
Take care.
Bye-bye.